Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've done a Patreon update. I even wrote the wrong number on the overlay. I wrote 10 thinking that I've done way more than I have. Apparently, the last one was number 6, and that was like back in April. And life has been very different since then. So, we're gonna do this video. Hopefully, it's not gonna be too long, but we're gonna try to touch a bunch of points. Wow, my hair is crazy. We're gonna try to touch a bunch of points. We're gonna talk about what we've been doing since the last update because there are people that watch them. Then we're gonna talk about what's going on now, the overhaul that's happened to the Patreon, as some of you have may noticed, and then we're gonna talk about the future, which all right. So we launched the neutral. I think we had just launched the last time one of these happened. We were on episode 1. The JB episode was going to be filmed. The neutral had a rough first season. For those of you who haven't, followed me personally or just like haven't kept up in the meantime, my dad passed over the summer. I know in the last update I brought up that he contracted. I don't know if that's the right word. We found out that he had pancreatic cancer, and he passed in late May. So a lot of the plans for season 1 of the neutral were kind of blown up, and it was really hard to get back on the content flow. But we were able to do a lot of more content than I thought I was gonna be able to do. So I flew out to LA for Rift Rivals, did a pretty good amount of content both for Jinx and for Upcomer while I was there. Defend the North was kind of a wash, and I honestly don't see myself working with Defend the North or covering Defend the North in the future. There's just a lot of stuff that happened that I don't want to really get into because it wouldn't be professional on my part, but it was not a pleasant experience, and I just don't want to put myself through that again. So instead, what is happening is we're not going to do Defend the North again. And then, of course, we did Evo, and Evo was a blast, as it always is. Got to work with some new sites, like we worked with Invin Global for the first time. I got to work with what is now the neutral crew. So as you guys know, I've always worked with Michael Dr. Parati. He has been my collaborator since basically the I guess like the second newest version of the Patreon. So I would say like Patreon like 2.0 started like 2 years ago. And that's when, the Patreon became like a vehicle for me to be able to travel for esports events. And Mike has been a part of that project, has been a part of the content that I've made since then. So, yeah, so Michael's part of it. We also have Saga FGC, really good videographer, editor, content creator. We are looking to add some more people. There's not like a ton of people officially affiliated with the neutral. Some people we've just kind of worked with as a one of. But yeah, Evo 2019 was really good. Made a lot of cool content, did a lot of cool stuff. And as some of you saw, we got to work with Red Bull for the rest of the year. So we worked as one of, it was me and Born Free. We covered the Red Bull Conquest Tour. And that was insane, yo. Red Bull, please call me back. It was so much fun. No, but in all seriousness, like it was a really cool experience. I learned that I'm a lot better at my job than I think I am. And it was also really wild for me to meet a lot of people who said, "Hey, I like your content." I'm not one of the bigger content creators in the FGC, so it sometimes creates this like headspace of like no one watches my stuff, which is just factually untrue, just not as much as maybe as I would want. But it was wild to me that at every stop, with no prompting, right? It's not like I like walked up to him and was like, "Hey, I'm Amanda Stevens." No, like people would come up to me and they were like, "Hey, I really like the neutral," or "Hey, I've seen some of your FGC interviews over the years. I really like it." And that was a huge boon to my self-esteem. I was able to round out the end of the year with 2 episodes of the neutral, which was, we basically what became a prototype for what is now Extra Battle. So there's the neutral and then there's the neutral extra battle. Those are two separate but equal shows. So the neutral is getting to know people who love fighting games. That's how we did the JB episode, Shine, Logan, Patrick Miller, No Good Citizen, right? Like all of those episodes are more about getting to know that person and not necessarily, fighting games, but like their lives and how fighting games intersect with them, that type of stuff. Extra battle is using someone as a vehicle to talk about a topic in the FGC while still making it about uniquely them and not, like we did Spaghetti Rip, right? And we talked about racism in the FGC and Islamophobia and a lot of that type of stuff. And we also got to, talk organically with Rip about himself and how he's been tackling that and, being an advocate for Pakistani Tekken and all of this stuff. So the last two episodes of season 1 of The Neutral basically were experiments for what became Extra Battle. And that's sort of it. Like we did Cheddar, Cheddar let us do more than just fighting game content, which was really cool. So we talked about the Runeterra beta. We talked about Magic Esports. So we got to, do different things, which was really, really cool. It was really nice to get to show off the fact that like I do follow more than the FGC and I'm pretty good about talking about anything as long as you give me enough time to prep. And that was kind of proved by the end of last year. So what is going on now? Well, 2020 was looking really dope, and then COVID happened, right? COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, kind of blew up a lot of people's industries, but specifically because I cover esports. Esports are large gatherings. Large gatherings aren't a thing anymore, and so what do I cover? The answer is nothing. So CSGO is still happening. Some other esports are still happening, but they're not really doing a lot of press interactions, and so I was kind of left without a job, which meant, so I had a lot of plan at the start of 2020. I knew that I was going to, slowly over the course of the year, make more and more changes to the Patreon. And then what would happen is, as I was making those changes, I was hoping to organically grow the Patreon, One of the things that we're going to get to in depth more is the journalism lessons that I want to start doing again. But, I was going to announce I was doing journalism lessons again, Interviewing 101. And the idea was that, I would announce the project and then make the change to the 2 Patreon tiers that relate to it. And then be like, well, here's the new project and here's how you support it. Same thing for a lot of the other stuff that I want to do. Well, because Patreon is now my job, which, let's stop what we're talking about and let's talk about this, because this is really important to me. So at the time of recording this, last week, I'd found out that a gig, so, some of you, my Facebook followers, my Facebook friends know about this, but it was never super announced on Twitter, is I signed with a website called Crank. It's a new esports website that wants to also make sure that they're talking about diversity and inclusion in esports, specifically POC and women. And so I was going to be doing a podcast with Froskurin and Ginny. Ginny, you all know from the Analyst Desk. And last Thursday, I was also hired to be a writer. So last Thursday, we were about to record the first episode of what is now called Mute Your Mic. And we were told that morning that it was put on hold. And on top of that, my writing contract and Ginny's writing contracts were also put on hold. Okay, well, so I lost a significant amount of what was my projected income for this month. And that left me with a sort of do or die situation of drastically overhauling the Patreon and promoting it. And I've done this in the past of oh no, I'm not employed anymore. I have to promote the Patreon. And it'll get a little bit of boost and then sometimes, drop off, or I already get some people treating it like a Kickstarter where they do like this massive, but it wasn't sustainable. And so one of the things I was really vocal about when I was pushing the Patreon again is like, hey, it's really cool that you're willing to like donate me $50, but if $50 is like a one-time thing for you, can you do 5 over 10 months, or 1 over 50 months, or 5, or like 10 over 5 months? Something that is sustainable for me, because like while it's cool to get money, it's better to have money that I can count on. And you all have blown me away in a way that like I cannot articulate. I do these videos as a stream of consciousness thing, but I do talk it out loud to myself a lot before I start recording. And preparing for this part of the video was challenging because, as I said in a Twitter post, I've had a Patreon for 5 years, and it has not ever reached this point. And I've told the story. For the first 3 years, I was making like $15, and that was all those people who were part of my Patreon back then. It's really appreciated. And then, Patreon 2.0 happened for me, where I was slowly but surely getting to a point where, my Patreon is like significantly carrying me. Like $50 was a big deal to me. It let me go to all the Boston events that I went to in a row, right? I went to the Red Bull Battlegrounds, and then I went to E-League, and then I went to PAX, and I was slowly getting more and more patrons. And remember, you guys last year sent me to LA. Remember, we went to the opening of Overwatch League, and we went to week 4 of LCS. Like, those things are insane to me. And so even though it was doing well, we would ramp up to like 500, and then we would slowly ramp back down to like 3, and then we would ramp up to 500, and then we would slowly ramp back down. So the fact that we're at time of recording $945 a month is insane to me. In the 6 days that I've been promoting the Patreon, I've raised almost $500. So like, remember, I basically I've more than doubled what I was originally making on Patreon. And so from the bottom of my heart, bless all of you, and anyone who's watching this who isn't a patron, bless you too, because you've probably retweeted or liked one of the tweets or liked one of the Facebook statuses, or told me to keep at it, or given me feedback on what I want to do with the Patreon. And so like from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everyone who's watching this video right now, patron or not. I thank you. Back on track. What's going on with the Patreon now? So we're gonna break this down into other videos. Well, quick micro highlight videos that are going to be on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. But let's do it in this video is already longer, so let's just make it long. Who cares? All right, $1 patrons. Fuck Patreon. We're not getting rid of the tier. The tier is going to exist. There's so many of you, and I appreciate every single last one of you. You get the role in the Discord. You will get the shout out at the end of every video. I'm just gonna make, you've seen them on other videos, right? The card, and it's like patrons and list those patrons. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And then you will have access to what will become, I want to call it like Anime Book Club. I don't have like a real name for it, but if you want to become a member of that, you will have the ability to become a member of that. I want to make sure that you guys are getting something exclusive as well. All right, $5 patrons. Hey, what's up? So same as everything before, and you will get access to Journalism 101 Part 1 each month. So the Part 1s for the journalism course is going to be, a broad topic, and it will come with homework, and you will have access to that as a $5 patron. That is the benefit of being a $5 patron. There might be some more stuff to come. I should say this, all locked content on Patreon. So, the From the Vault series, which will be, interviews that never got published, will be put up on Patreon. Those, everyone who is a patron gets an access to. $1, $5, all the way up to $50. So, yeah, cool. $10 patrons. Hi, guys. So, you guys are supporting me at a pretty cool tier. And so, we're going to reflect that. So, everything before. And you'll get the other Journalism 101 classes. So, last time I did Journalism 101, I think I did 5 because I was still doing 5-day a week vlogs. I think I'm only going to do 4 episodes this time around. And so what that means, mainly because I'm going to be doing it every month, right? It's not going to be like a one-shot thing and then I start planning the next one. I'm going to have to chain these together. And so doing 5 in a month while also trying to plan the next lesson and do all the other content that's promised is just a lot. Teaching is very hard. So yeah, $10 patrons, you get everything from before, plus you get the full access to Journalism 101. For my Magic followers, the $10 tier, which is not in the tier because it felt weird to advertise because I knew it was like a niche market. There'll be a whole Patreon post about it. Magic followers, if you want to talk about Magic, like like you have a deck idea for a commander and you need deck advice, or you have a deck and it's not working, you want me to look over it, that is what that tier will allow you to ask me. Traveling backwards in time, $5 patrons, you will be able to bank time. So every 2 months, you will be able to ask for Magic help. We're doing this bank system. I don't know if it's not worth it for the $1 patrons to bank because you'll only get the value once a year. Then there was just no way to plan for there was no way to structure this in a way that was super beneficial to the $1 tier. So that's why the $1 tier will get all the other locked content that isn't tier specific. So like I said, from the vault, any vlogs that I do, any behind the scenes, we're not going to make that any higher than $1 so that the $1 patrons still feel special, right? I want the $1 patrons to still feel like they're better than the non-patrons. So yeah, sorry to interrupt. $10, but yeah, so $10 recap, Magic review, all of Journalism 101. All right, $25 patrons. This is where things start to get a little wild, right? So $25 patrons, you get access to everything from before. And so as some of you may have seen, I do media training. I do it for Exo Academy. I've done it for Dynamic Focus, which is an FGC org owned by my friend Aziza. I've done it for some players. So what I'm going to be doing is at $25, you can bank 30 minutes with me. And what that means is that if you need to talk about how to become a better content creator, if you need to talk about how to have a better Twitter presence, you can do that at the $25 tier without having to book a separate session through my coffee or any other, or sending me a $25 over Patreon, over PayPal. You won't need to do that. As a $25 patron, you get 30 minutes with me. And the cool thing is that I'm allowing you to split it up. So if you want to do like a 15-minute session and a 15-minute session, that's fine. I'm not letting you break it down any further. Like 3 10-minute sessions is really awkward to plan around. And so that's not an option. So remember, you can bank 30 minutes. And all of this banking system, right, it rolls over. So if you're like a $5 patron and you want to have access, so like $5 patrons, after 2 months, right, you can get the full course. So on your 3rd month, you can get a full course of Journalism 101, right? So let's say we start now, right? March, there's no Journalism 101 course, but March patrons will get to, after supporting in April, will get the full Journalism 101 course for May. And the way that'll work is I'll just message you the private playlist link so that you'll have access. And so it's the same thing for the $25 patrons. If you don't claim your 30-minute session in March, you can have an hour session in April. So conversely, you could also have, 4 15-minute sessions, blah, 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 blah. That is at the $25 tier. That's just because at the amount you're supporting, it's just baffling to me. To be like, it's so crazy to me. So I want to make sure that you feel rewarded in a meaningful fashion, right? And $50 patrons, it's not much different than the $25 tier, except instead of 30 minutes, you get an hour. Again, you can split it. You can split it into 4 15-minute sessions or 2 half-hour sessions. You can also bank your time. Again, similar system. You can not use it, and then if you have, let's say you like have a project coming up and you really need like an active consultant, because you didn't use it for 2 months, you could on month 3, take me on as a full consultant, right, for 3 hours that month and really hammer out the thing you want to do. That's how things have changed in the tiers. Now, what are you guys getting? So what are you folks getting? Well, currently at $945, I can reasonably say that these are the things that you are going to get, because I don't think that this will change. I'm just pulling it up because it's a lot. So, right, at $850, what are you funding, right? So you're going to get the neutral every week. You're going to get at least one episode of the neutral extra battle, which we already went over. You're also going to get a new show called Send Your Invoice. So Send Your Invoice is essentially it's going to be more fun than, the neutral is fun, but it's going to not be as structured as the way I try to run the neutral. Send Your Invoice is going to be me talking to a freelancer about freelancing. So, horror stories, lessons learned, all that fun stuff. And that's going to be once a month. And that is hopefully going to launch this month. I don't want to make any promises because, I made a Google Doc for it. And I have to be proactive in how I do this, because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm overworked, right? So, and the reason why I'm worried about being overworked is because the next thing that we're going to be doing is mute your mic. So, because because we kind of got pretty excited about doing this show, and then it kind of got taken away from us, Frostguard, Jenny, and myself, we have decided to still do mute your mic independently. And then we've spoken to Crank, and if they come back, and they say, hey, your contracts are no longer on hold, we would really like to do the show, we'll have been doing it. So Mute Your Mic is going to be very different than a lot of other esports shows. We will be doing some topical stuff, but we're also going to talk about diversity and inclusion issues that are going on in the scene and, meaningfully talking about them. So that is super cool. I'm really excited. Frostguard came up with the name. Jenny came up with the tagline, which is Mute Your Mic and listen to somebody else for a change. So really excited for that. And then obviously the journalism lessons. Some months might not be it might just be like coursework, because, I'm trying to teach y'all some things. And sometimes it's not just going to be like me lecturing. It's going to be coursework. And if you don't do the coursework, I don't know what to tell you. It's the same thing as like school, right? If you don't do your homework, you're not going to learn anything. Especially for practical application like content creation and journalism. And then there's the one magic article a month. I think that's at let me go back. I think that's at the 850 tier. Yeah, one Commander article a month. Cool. So that doesn't mean that that's going to be all. Maybe I might do vlogs. I might, do streams through the Discord that are only open to patrons. But that's the guarantee. Now, I will say, y'all know me, there might be gaps in content. Like I said at the beginning of the year, I was only planning on doing 38 episodes of the neutral for season 2. And so that means that there probably won't be a neutral some weeks. Not often. Like, I have to get dental work, so there also might be a month where it's all going to be written content. It might be a month where like you don't get video. It depends on how my mouth is going to feel when I get all this dental work done. I've been putting it off because I need to get a lot of content off the ground, but like my front teeth are super mangled and I have to get them removed. And I'm a pretty vain person. I'm worried about how my mouth is going to feel after that. I don't know if I can talk very well. And so I'm just, I don't know when that appointment's going to happen because of everything that's going on with COVID, but I just want to give you guys a heads up that the neutral will go on a probably a month-long hiatus while I'm recovering. The way that I'm recording Send Your Invoice, that month there will be an episode, and then there will still be Mute Your Mic, but without me for that month. That's just a heads up. That's kind of part of the future. That's why I wanted we have now transitioned to the future. I can't say what events I'm going to. I'm supposed to potentially be doing stuff for DreamHack for Dallas, but I don't know if Dallas is happening. I want to go to Evo again. I don't know if Evo's happening. I've heard that East Coast Throwdown has canceled. I hope that's not true. If it isn't canceled, I would really like to go to East Coast Throwdown. So like it's really hard for me to like say a lot of things that I want to do in the future because right now nobody knows what's going on. If things get better and like travel bans get lifted, I plan on going to LEC for a week in the summer. But travel bans, right? Like it's not safe to travel, and I'm diabetic. It's like not a good idea for me. Like I'm essentially self-isolating. But yeah, I think I've covered everything. Yeah, I've pretty much covered everything. Like I said, some things are going to be turned into micro videos, but you guys know I like doing these once in a while, and there hasn't been one in almost a year, so it's okay. That's a little bit longer. And the TLDR is that the Patreon is now my job. Thank you so much for getting me where I am now. The tiers have all been overhauled. 25 and 50 have to be reflected on the website. I'm going to, hopefully by the time this is up, it'll be reflected on the website. 2 new shows, Mute Your Mic and Send Your Invoice. Commander Article and Journalism 101 is coming back. And yeah, and Banking Time, which all this stuff I'm going to start doing patch note. One of the things I'll be doing is patch note articles on the Patreon to just sort of fill in the blanks to, fully go over, because this video is already much longer than a lot of the Patreon updates. But yeah, I think that's everything. Once again, thank you so much. So much for everything you have all done for me. Yeah, thank you. I don't want to say I don't have words over and over again, but thank you so much. And as y'all know, you know how we end these videos by now. Been doing it for a while. Go beyond. Plus Ultra. Peace.